Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on News Up at Desawe Kanda. Also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Beatrice Adu.
This evening, Supreme Court puts execution of the Speaker's ruling on 4 seats declared vacant on hold, pending final determination of a case at the country's apex court as it directs Parliament to recognize and allow the 4 MPs to continue to serve as MPs until the case is determined. We'll bring you the details of this breaking story, which has been developing over the last 1 hour here on Hot Edition.
Also coming up, Ghana Education Service releases academic calendar for the 2024-2025 academic year for both basic schools and senior high schools. We'll update you on reactions so far.
So here on Hot Edition, National Health Insurance Scheme will now cover free dialysis treatment for patients who are 60 years and above and below 18 years. Persons 18 years to 60 years are to receive 2 free sessions every month. We have details of that, plus the latest here on your Election Command Center. There's a lot that's happening in Parliament right from yesterday and flowing into today, and the latest from the Supreme Court. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. There's a lot of reactions as well coming through, and also on Campaign Trail. We'll tell you exactly what both the MPP, the NDC, and also Movement for Change have been up to on their various campaigns. But in the meantime, we have the summary of the news as well, and Wahine Sarfoa is here.
All right, thank you, Alfred. I won't forgive you if you forget my name again. By the way, welcome to the news summary segment and to the details. The execution of the ruling of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, on the 4 seats declared vacant has been put on hold pending the final determination of a case challenging the decision at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court on Friday, October 18, directed Parliament to recognize and allow the 4 MPs to continue to serve as MPs until the case is determined. Also, the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has called on the government to commence immediate prosecution of individuals arrested for illegal mining activities, commonly known as Galamsey. In a statement issued on Thursday, UTAG emphasized the need for swift and decisive action to deter others from engaging in illegal mining. The University Teachers Association of Ghana also advised its members to stay home until next week, when a new decision would be communicated to them. Meanwhile, the Aguna West constituency in the Central Region has statistically been a political stronghold for the New Patriotic Party, NPP. But as the 2024 general elections approach, a move by its sitting MP Cynthia Mamle Morrison to break ranks with the NPP and run as an independent candidate threatens to fracture the party's dominance and reshape the political landscape in the area. Also, the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, has launched the 2024 Breastfeeding Awareness Month under the theme Closing the Gap, Breastfeeding Support for All. The campaign seeks to address barriers preventing mothers from breastfeeding and to help Ghana reach its breastfeeding targets by 2030. And lastly, the National Health Insurance Scheme will now cover free dialysis treatment for patients who are 60 and above and below 18. Persons 18 to 60 years are to receive 2 free sessions every month. This announcement was made by the Minister of Health, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, during the commissioning of the Urology and Nephrology Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And this brings us to the end of our news summary segment. And over to you, Beatrice and Alfred.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll give you the details a bit more on 3news.com. Make some time, visit 3news.com. Also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. Also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get into the details of what happened in the Supreme Court earlier today.
And indeed, interesting turn of event over the last 24 hours. Ghana as the execution of the Speaker's ruling on the 4 seats declared vacant has been put on hold pending the final determination of the case at the Supreme Court. The Apex Court directed Parliament to recognize and allow all the 4 MPs to continue to serve as MPs until the case is determined. Now, you recall that on Thursday, October 17, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, declared 4 seats vacant. The constituencies and the law The lawmakers are Cynthia Morrison, the current MPP MP for Aguna West constituency in the Central Region.
And so more on this one. We also getting details of Kojo Asante, the current MPP MP for the Sum constituency in the Eastern Region, was also filed to run as an independent candidate, plus Andre Siama Mwako, who currently serves as an independent MP for the Fomena constituency in the Central Region, is filed to run as in the upcoming election as a candidate for the NPP in the Fomena constituency. The Speaker effectively declared those seats for vacant, which overturned the leadership of Parliament as well, making the NDC the majority in terms of the numbers. As per the standing orders of Parliament, the majority leadership now turned to the NDC. That obviously did not go down well with the NPP. They had indicated yesterday the decision to challenge this matter, and now we're learning that the declaration, according to the Supreme Court, right now setting aside this particular decision by the Speaker, whose declaration was in line with Article 97(1)(g) of the Constitution, which stipulates that a lawmaker must vacate their seat if they leave the party under which they were elected or attempt to remain in Parliament as an independent candidate. But today's Supreme Court directive has put that ruling by the Speaker of Parliament on hold. So what happened at the Supreme Court earlier today?
And indeed, we have Joseph Akable. He's our chief legal correspondent. He was in court monitoring all of that for us. He joins us live in the studio now. Blake, just tell us really what transpired.
And so first, it's a process that they filed ex parte, which is to the effect that it means that the defendants in the case, we know that Parliament has been named in this particular matter. We're not aware of this particular process. The legal process allows that to be done. When in urgent situation you want some application of sorts to be made, you make that application ex parte. So that is by way of the motion that they filed. And so they're asking the court, per that application, that the court puts on hold the implementation of the decision by the Speaker of Parliament to declare those 4 seats vacant. So that is the request they made to the court, and through the lawyers, the arguments they advanced was to the effect that there was a pending case which the Speaker of Parliament was aware, because the Member of Parliament for Efutu, who now has been restored as a majority leader, had indicated to the Speaker that he had filed a matter in court, and so the Speaker was aware of the pendency of the matter and nonetheless proceeded to issue such directions which they say affects the rights of people, the rights of individuals to have representation in Parliament, and that the application in the substantive case that they filed raises serious constitutional matters for which they took the view that it was important that the Speaker should have allowed the Supreme Court to deal with the matter before proceeding to give the directives that he gave. And so those were the arguments that they made. And like I said, because they were the only ones who were there and heard, once they argued, the court was just asking questions from them to clarify some of the positions that they had advanced. And once they were done, the court went on a short recess to deliver its ruling. And when they returned, the Chief Justice herself, who presided over this 5-member panel, announced her orders as following. I'm just going to read what she said. Specifically, she said, the execution of the Speaker's ruling is put on hold pending final determination of the case at the Supreme Court. And she emphasized this because during the arguments for the decision to be suspended, it was suggested that it should be for 10 days. And so when she was given, she said it's not for 10 days, it's on hold until the final determination of the case at the Supreme Court. The second order she issued was that Parliament is directed to recognize and allow the individuals to perform their roles as MPs until the case is determined. So that was by way of the outcome of the application. Then in terms of case management, she gave some further directives saying that the parties in the case, the defense side, are supposed to file their defense within 7 days. Then both sides are supposed to file the memorandum of issues within 7 days afterwards as well, to ensure that the matter is dealt with expeditiously. And the reason behind the decision, she made the point that the Speaker of Parliament was aware of the pendency of the case at the Supreme Court, and that the reason that he advanced, if you recall, Alfred, he had made a point that the service was not done on Monday.
That's right.
She said that was not satisfactory, and that this raised serious constitutional matters, which even required that those affected members of Parliament ought to have even been heard, but they were not even heard. And so because of that, the court was suspending execution of the decision and the orders that were issued by the Speaker of Parliament until the case is determined.
I just want to clarify this. So, if Afenyomakin advanced the argument, or the persons who are applying for this ex parte motion also advanced the argument that the Speaker was aware of a case of this sort at the Supreme Court. The Speaker was clear that as at the time of yesterday delivering his ruling, he had his office, as in the Parliament, had not been served. Correct?
Yes.
Will that suffice? That the fact that the Afenyomakin said it while challenging his ruling on the floor yesterday, that Mr. Speaker, I am in court. I tried serving your office, and there is a directive that cannot be done within a certain period. Would that amount to the Speaker's knowledge of this case?
I mean, the Chief Justice seems to take that position, and that's why she appeared satisfied. And in her ruling, she did make the point that the evidence, the facts that were adduced by way of the affidavits that were filed supporting the application had indicated that the Speaker's attention was drawn to the pendency of the case, and the Speaker had stated that the service per the directives from the Chief Justice was to be done on Mondays, and so that had not been done. And her response was that position was not satisfactory, and so they were satisfied that he was aware of the pendency of the case.
I see, but that's consistent with a convention that the Speaker says he had already been in touch with the Chief Justice. Yes. When he was delivering the ruling yesterday, correct?
Yes. In fact, that was the point the Chief Justice the Speaker had stated, that as a result of that engagement, the Chief Justice had actually issued a circular informing persons who, assess the courts about how service of such processes should be undertaken. And so the Speaker had indicated that for that reason, it also have been done on Monday. But it appears it's an argument that didn't find favor with the Chief Justice. Interesting.
But you've been speaking to Afenyomakin as well after this ruling. What has he been saying?
He was very excited about this decision, and he took on some individuals he said had conducted themselves in various ways which he found problematic, to make the point that this was exactly what he was trying to draw the Speaker's attention to, about the fact that the right thing ought to be done, and he's happy that the court has restored that. He also addresses the question of, are they coming back to Parliament? Because he had said we're boycotting it until the termination of the matter.
That's right.
This changes their position. They are back in the House.
That you had raised, the court found favor with you. First, your immediate reaction to what has transpired in court today.
Well, this is MPP. The founders of our tradition use the court to do right. And true to it, we are Democrats. We don't believe in violence. We don't believe in mischief and unnecessary political chaos. We came to court believing that the court will do right. And indeed, the court has just done that. The rights of those MPs have been reinforced, as well as the rights of those constituents who elected them. I will leave the Ghanaian public to peruse the full ruling of the court, and then the discussions can continue. But let me thank my colleagues in leadership, especially the hardworking Majority Chief Whip, for all the support, and his industry. I thank senior members of Parliament, Uncle Joe Gatti, Honorable Kennedy Japan, not the least Uncle Katie Hammond, and others who have been supporting me. Again, equally important are my colleagues in the backbench, especially those who lost their primaries. They've been with us thick and thin. The whole of last night we didn't sleep. We've been working all night. I myself, being a practitioner of our courts, made sure we put together a solid case. And this afternoon, we've had justice. Now, those NDC people who are, walking all over the place, proclaiming, if they know the law, they should now face us in the law. This is the majority leader speaking.
Because you are earlier in your statement, you had indicated that yes. So with that, this
we said until the matter is determined, we are not going to go to Parliament, and that will abide by the ruling of the court. Today, the court has determined the matter and has ordered the parties to file the necessary processes for the final determination of the matter. That is it. So we expect our colleagues and all those involved in this matter to respect the law, including the Right Honorable Speaker. We don't have any personal qualms with anybody. Ours is the law. But then let me quickly repeat this to party members, to MPP full soldiers, to MPP parliamentary candidates, to MPP executives. Let's go all out to work hard. President Akufo-Addo has done a yeoman's job. Of course, we don't have a perfect government, but we have elections to win. If we go all out and win massively, this NDC behavior will be a thing of the past. If you look at Central Region, for then won 19 seats, and parliamentary seat we won only 10. This is not a time to say you don't like a friend, somebody is upsetting you, and you vote skirt and blouse. We don't need skirt and blouse. We need Baumia with all the parliamentary candidates across the 275 constituencies.
And you have the now majority leader per the decision of the Supreme Court, Alexander Apanyo marking. But Joseph Akable is still in the studio. Joe, I've heard a senior NDC member saying that it's rare for the Supreme Court to sit on Fridays. And I'm wondering what information you have on that. And also, yes, this was an ex parte, case, as it were, and therefore the MPP minority majority might not necessarily have been there, but the NDC people have also been reacting. In fact, I've seen that comment on social media page X by Kwame Agboja-Gavin saying that the Supreme Court may have to come to Parliament to enforce the bizarre ruling.
Just on the last point, I mean, Afenya Markin did make the point in the interview that they expect, it's a part of the interview we had with him where he says they expect Parliament to abide by the order of the court, and he actually goes a step further to say that if they decide to disobey the orders of the Supreme Court, they know what legal process to undertake. And he says anyone who knows the law knows what the repercussions of that move will be. And so on Tuesday, they expect that the current position by the Supreme Court is what should abide. On the question of whether the court normally sits on Friday or not, well, it's unusual. The courts don't normally sit on Friday, and just a way of demonstrating that, I have with me the course list for this week. A course list is simply the list of cases the court handles in a week. So this particular course list is for week commencing on Tuesday, the 15th day of October 2024, Supreme Court building, first floor, commencing at 9:30 a.m. So if you go through the list of the cases, it ends on Thursday, October 17th, 2024. So it presupposes that whatever process was filed definitely was filed after the preparation of this particular course list for the week, and definitely may have taken place either yesterday or this morning, asking for the immediate hearing. And so yes, it's a bit unusual, but there have been times that we've had Supreme Court hearings late afternoons. It all depends on the nature of the case and what request is being made to the court.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akable, for bringing us all those details. But there'll be more reactions coming through, and former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kwaku Ansah-Asare, is not surprised by the directive of the Supreme Court. Listen.
Right. You see, I said yesterday, ours is a democracy. The whole world is watching us. We are baking, hope for Africa. And the Supreme Court has spoken. We may agree or disagree with the Supreme Court, but the law rests with them. It lies in their bosom, not in ours. And in accordance with Article 129(3), if they have spoken, it is binding on everybody. So my appeal is that since we are showing the world that we are capable of resolving, our issues before the court, there is one good thing for the Supreme Court. Let us abide by what they have said and leave, individual disagreements in the party. We may agree or disagree with them, but in their collective wisdom, they think that Parliament should allow, the iconoclast, to continue to serve the nation in the capacity, that they were before the secret ruling yesterday. That's the beauty of democracy. There's so much tension, in the country at the moment. There's so much anger in people. So let us respect the rule of law. They have spoken. They have the last word.
And I heard a former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansah-Sareh, a former Deputy Attorney General and Member of Parliament for Bolga East, Dr. Dominic Kayene, is also describing the move as worrying.
The order of the Supreme Court now means that we are back to the status quo ante. That is the situation before, the Speaker's ruling. Okay, but I must say that this is a very disturbing development. The reason is because, you see, for them to go ex parte, to obtain an ex parte order means that the Speaker was not on notice. Parliament was not on notice. And Parliament is just a stone throw away from the Supreme Court. And ex parte orders are an anomaly. All right, they are used to address real emergency situations where irreparable damage will be caused if there is in the, order is not obtained. All right, but in a situation where there was an attempt to serve, an inter partes order, an order on notice, all right, and that service even violated the directive of the Chief Justice, which is to the effect that service on the Speaker and Parliament generally should be effected on Mondays. Now, that's a Chief Justice directive that is binding on all registrars of the court and is binding on all litigants and parties. Yet the majority leader, or the former majority leader, I will continue to emphasize that, the Honorable Afenyo Markins, attempted to effect service on Tuesday and Wednesday. And when it was not, the service was not effected, he got frustrated, started throwing tantrums all over the place.
Well, a number of you have been reacting to. Let's say a bit further on this, and I trust that we're going to have an extensive conversation on this matter here across all media platforms between today and obviously to tomorrow. Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner. I'm going to seek his initial thoughts on this because we have a full day. In the next 24 hours, we'll have a conversation on this matter. He's private legal practitioner. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Ocansey.
How dangerous, is this decision by the Supreme Court staying the Speaker's ruling, ousting these 4 MPs from Parliament?
Mr. Ocansey, I'm telling you that I'm still in a bit of shock because, that's not how the Supreme Court's decisions have gone in recent times. In terms of saying that they will not interfere in a decision Parliament is about to take, or maybe this time they will say, Parliament is finished taking the decision. So, now they can act. Oh, well, so it's been a bit shocking, disappointing, but ultimately, the problem is that because it's a rule of law, no matter how disappointed you are, you have to accept it because it's a rule of law. That is what we've chosen. And so the Supreme Court is the final arbiter on the matter. They say it. And so that's what there's no choice really. There's no choice. Maybe now with this decision, one thing I can see is that it means that next time we're going to the constitutional review, I'm sure we'll be looking at how to make sure that Parliament is insulated more than it currently is. That's what we can learn from the way this decision has been too swift.
I see. And I want to understand is one of the arguments that the advance in court today, raising the Supreme Court in a unanimous decision. In fact, it was all 5 of them who sat on this case today, this ex parte motion today, voting in one direction. According to those who applied for this ex parte motion and that has led to this particular result, the Speaker's attention was drawn to the pending case filed at the Supreme Court. But I recall yesterday that the Speaker had indicated that his office was yet to be served and that there was a convention that had been agreed between Parliament and the Chief Justice that service would not be done on Mondays. And so will Afenyo Markins mentioning it on the floor of Parliament that, quote, Mr. Speaker, I tried serving your office and this was what I was told. Would that amount to the Speaker's attention? Literally being drawn to it. Reason why the courts will say, really, this application must go through.
usually with the practice, this is not sufficient with what we are used to. But to give what do you call it? I don't think the decision to grant the ex parte injunction rests on the fact that the speaker's attention was drawn to it. No. The meaning of ex parte injunction application is that only one side goes to court. The other side is not informed. So, even if Afenyo, or not if, you would hear Afenyo say, I tried to serve you, and it didn't work and all that. That's not what the decision rests on. So it is when it is on notice. Let's say you file that you want to serve a CMC speaker to come to court, and then he's not coming, then that's when you'll be saying, oh, by even on the floor of Parliament, I drew your attention. But in this case, drawing the speaker's attention to the court case is not relevant at all, because the application that was filed is ex parte, and ex parte means only one side goes. You don't need to inform the other side. The only thing is that because the matter is quite a big matter, a very important matter of public interest, one would have thought that usually judges don't grant ex parte. When the matter is very serious like this, they'll tell you that no, go and serve the other party. They don't grant ex parte like that. No, not when it's a very huge matter of public interest. Maybe so if we are making that argument that is this common, I'll tell you.
And in fact, that was going to lead to my next issue as to your own reading about how they chose to go through the route of an ex parte motion at the blind side of the Speaker and Parliament under a circumstance like this.
Yeah, so it looks very odd. That's why I said they can go. So when I say odd, is the manner in which it's granted. That's odd, because I know that issues of such huge national importance, usually, no, you don't get it. A court grant you ex parte. They say, no, serve the other side. After all, Parliament is not sitting the rest of the week. Is that not so?
Yes.
Yes, I'm aware. I understand they are coming. They are resuming on 22nd.
In fact, the Parliament was adjourned to next week, Tuesday. But with what has happened now...
Exactly. So there will be no business until Tuesday. So at least we still have Saturday. So if they filed it today, we have Saturday, we have Sunday, and then Monday. So some efforts should have been made to look for the Speaker.
But how does this particular development also threaten that decision that the Supreme Court would not appear to be interfering in the work of Parliament, as has been the case in previous rulings in the Justice Abdullahi case, and then also we've had previous rulings that you make reference to as well in J.H. Mensah and so on. How does this development threaten this harmony that was supposed to have been existing between the judiciary and the legislature in doing their work?
This definitely goes a long way in fracturing the relationship, definitely, because I can say so because you remember after the E-levy decision, I'm trying to dig it out. There is this material, the Speaker himself spoke about his unhappiness with that decision, right? There's one that the Speaker did, it's on Facebook. I'm trying to access it. You see, he was very clear that the Supreme Court couldn't dictate, if it's not the E-levy final decision, but there was one of the decisions that the Speaker had very strong opinions. So at least for the remainder of the office of this Speaker, that relationship appears, I mean, not just appears, obviously, it's been fractured. Yes, so that's quite a serious situation. The only saving grace is that we have 3 months to the end of this particular term of Parliament. But as an institution, you never know. Once it happened to the institution, for an institution, it could linger on for long. It's not, because considering that the next session of Parliament is on Tuesday, I'm thinking that every effort should have been made to serve the Speaker. At least an order would have been made that, look, Mr. Speaker, we need you to respond to this thing by close of tomorrow. then maybe they would even blast it on various radio stations and TV stations so that the speaker's attention will be drawn that we are trying to get you. So please respond by end of Saturday. Then Sunday, the court will look at it. Or they even give the speaker up to Sunday. Then on Monday, the court will decide. I'm sure now with this, we've all learned lessons. But next time, I think we will be able to do better.
I mean, how unusual is it for the courts to be sitting on a Friday like this? Especially then we have a list of the cases supposed to be heard today, and all sittings were supposed to have ended yesterday, and you are an officer of the court. How unusual is this, what we are seeing today?
Yeah, so the law is that as for that one, the Supreme Court chooses to sit when it wants to sit, except that for some time, usually they don't sit on Mondays, and then a lot of the time to Friday. But if we are talking about pure law, they are allowed to sit anytime they seek to. And you even find that the same thing even when it comes to bail application. So in Pegu number 4, versus Attorney General number 4, they struck down that part of the CI where the president, remember in the Bernard Mona case, they had stated that the Supreme Court was going to sit on a public holiday, and it brought some matters. The Supreme Court, I'll get the law before we come to key points tomorrow. The Pegu number 4. The Supreme Court said that is not law. Under the Constitution, the courts will sit when they want to sit. It's not the executive, so they are not bound by laws on public holidays, etc. So that one, they can sit anytime they want to. That is why I said, so based on that law, I would have expected that they would say, no, let's put it on notice, notify the speaker Saturday, Sunday, then the court will sit on Monday. I think that would have been middle of the road, yeah.
Counsel, I appreciate your time, and we certainly would have a good conversation tomorrow morning. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner joining us here on the Hot Edition.
Well, a number of you have been sending us your thoughts and views about what's happening. Let's bring some of you to you. Abdul Razak Haruna, he says the wrong precedence has just been set. Nobody should complain when the same venoms visit them one day. There's Alfredo GH. The same Supreme Court ordered Ase North MP to stay off proceedings until the final determination of his case then. But in this case, the 4 MPs should stay proceedings until the final determination by the Kangaroo Supreme Court, Injustice Supreme Court. I will bring 2 more to you. Raphael Mensah, where is the separation of powers we learned in school? And Gideon Kofi says, why should the ruling of speaker always be overturned by the Supreme Court? More of you are talking about this, and we'll bring those comments back to you as and when we have them. Now, some more issues here, and the Ghana Education Service has officially released the academic calendar for the 2024-2025 academic year for both basic schools and senior high schools. In a press statement, the director of the Schools and Instructions Division of the GES, Prince Ajimandia, said that incoming first-year students for single-track and transitional schools would begin school on Wednesday, October 30, 2024. Current first-year students in transitional calendar schools will end their 2023-2024 academic year on Monday, October 28, 2024, and will be promoted to Form 2 to continue with a new academic year immediately. Well, the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, Kwesi Kwarteng, spoke to us earlier about the rationale behind the change.
Even before we came into this agreement, we had engaged unions, all stakeholders, even including teachers and what have you. Originally, if you recall, they were supposed to vacate on the 5th of December 2024. I mean, particularly referring to those in first year. And if you look at what has happened, I mean, on the face value, one can argue that they are being shortchanged for like a month. If you look at the arrangement that we've done, they will be promoted to Form 2 with the expectation that the new Form 1s who are entering will be able to occupy the Form 1 space. But we have made a provision in terms of the instructional hours to be able to augment for it even when they go for it. And if you look at the vacation, it is not necessarily a vacation, it's a break. So it is not the case that when they break, they are coming home. they will still be in school, get promoted, and continue their academic activities. Because by and large, even if you want to look at previously what pertained within the trimester basis, where within the whole year, students were in school for 180 days. Of course, they were having instructional hours or the contact hours being 7 hours. If you compared, the cumulative effect of that number, you were getting around 1,260 hours. But with this one, the semester basis, and of course, as all part of efforts to realign the calendar, we are looking at students being in school for 32 weeks. 32 weeks, you look at 32 weeks, that's around 160 days. And we've rather increased the contact hours from 7 hours to 8 hours, making it the cumulative effect being 1,280 hours. So yes, on the face value, it may look like we are shortchanging the students, but if you look at the instructional hours, it's rather gone high by even 20 hours compared to the standard approved instructional hours that NACA, requires the Ghana Education Service to use.
Well, Kwesi Kwarteng also spoke about what the Ministry of Education intends to do regarding the contact hours lost as a result of the sudden change.
The change has become necessary so that as a country we are able to harmonize and align our academic calendar to reverse back to the system that we used to have before. That is where, in terms of WASI, we're having students writing WASI May, June, and of course students also beginning the academic calendar in September. If we recall, post-COVID, there has been a lot of efforts to realign and streamline the calendar to be able to reverse back to the old normal that we used to be aware of. Even if you look at, for instance, the writing of the WAEC exams, the signatory countries or the participating countries are Ghana and other countries. A lot of them has been able to realign their calendar even post-COVID, and they are still writing May, June. And in Ghana, if you recall, with the recent WASI that we wrote it around August, September. And so what essentially means is that WAEC may still have to deploy the same number of personnel or workers across the sub-region, have to print our questions independently. And that also comes with a very huge cost to Ghana.
And you heard Kwesi Kwarteng, he speaks for the Ministry of Education. Let's speak to the National Council of the Parents Teachers Association and its Secretary, Raphael Kofi Gabson, joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us on Hot Edition.
Good evening, and good evening to your cherished listeners, and great to have you on this platform.
I'm wondering what your immediate reaction is to this new academic calendar coming in suddenly as PTA.
Well, we're not consulted and we're not involved as a major stakeholder because our children who goes to these schools. So if government is rolling out a program to realign an academic calendar for us to go back to the status quo, I think it is better and protocol and courtesy for government to engage us so that we can all be on the same page. So we are hearing the justifications on these platforms, and that is a bit of a blow to all of us.
Disappointed, you would say?
Totally.
How is that going to affect you as a parent, really?
In so many ways. We all know that the inconveniences of the educational calendar is affecting all of us. The double track system without adequate teaching and learning opportunities for these children, because it has created two groups of students. One getting a single track system, which gives you more contact hours and gives you more space and more convenience to learn. And another group having less days, less contact hours. The justification that probably they've added another 1 hour to rate comes with its own burdens and its load on the teachers. And it's in a way affecting all of us. So to be very honest with you, the adequate teaching and learning, as far as training, it will affect the quality of education at the pre-tertiary level. And these things have this rippling effect at the tertiary level. And government must accept that they are not the only stakeholders in education. And anything that they roll out, feedback is important in making sure that we can galvanize all energy and resources to make sure that we get the quality and the required standards of education that we look for as a country.
We'll talk about the lost hours and the rippling effect, as you just mentioned, but this is not the first time you would have calendar or the system changed suddenly and you've had to comply. How worrying is this, really, looking into the future of our academic system?
It has compromised the quality of education across the country, and it has increased the burden of parents in terms of finding other alternatives to make sure that we can meet the shortfall in terms of educational quality. And these things are done such a way that the timetable should be kept such a way that children should have a minimum 30 weeks and a maximum 40 weeks, not the 26 weeks in an academic year. That one is a major blow and is an impediment. In fact, the standard says that we should have at least 40 weeks in the whole year for an academic period to be seen to be standard. So if it is even the 40, we don't get the best that we look for. So the more it is reduced, it affects all of us, and it affects, because there's not enough contact hours, the quality of education at the tertiary level. When the students go there, the lecturers there complain, and then we get all kinds of feedback. It affects industry, it affects all kinds of things that students who would after school would like to get into the world of work, and when they are going through various transitions, the feedback is just that the kind of education that we are churning out is not the best. So no adequate time for practical lessons, and it affects the educational quality in terms of contact hours and training. Parents pay more. Parents pay more on the side due to the double track and single track systems. The poor planning affects our financial resources. Sometimes you plan, you are just there, they just announce that schools are closing without adequate consultation. So we have struggling students at the tertiary level, and all these things are not helpful to our common cause in terms of the human resource that development that we are producing as a country.
I know you talked about how you said that it affects you a lot as a parent, aside from the financial bit where suddenly you've had to perhaps make available some monies that you put aside for something else, and also the quality of education. How else does it affect you personally?
It affects us personally because the calendar is not properly planned. Even if it's planned, once you have planned to make sure that your students are in school, you are just there, they just announce that they have to get back home. Although the students are in school, and then they reach out to you and say, look, because of A, B, C, and D, we need to do these additional measures to be able to meet up the requirement, to be able to prepare for our WASE, prepare for our BC and all those things. And we're very honest, the level at which most of these, our students and our children, our wards, are looking for other means to pass their exams instead of relying solely on the knowledge that they have acquired, which is woefully inadequate. In a way, allows parents to become very vulnerable. And all this then affects what happens in terms of WAEC coming out with reports of examination malpractices, coming out with reports of all kinds of complicity in examination malpractices by almost all of us, the stakeholders involved in education. And everybody is trying to find its own ways and means to survive. It's becoming the survival of the fittest. And I don't think that it is helpful to our common cause as a country.
Mr.
In spite of everything, we must look at these issues and face the realities and say that, look, we should be able to pull the brake somewhere and all go back to the drawing board and look at what can government do? What can government do? What can we parents do? What is our role? Government should give us that be unfettered access to the schools, because the schools sometimes, if you are looking for information, they'll tell you this one, we can't say it openly. We have to speak to you back door. It's not helpful to our cause. And sometimes you are there, then your PTA chairman and others will call you that, oh, the Director General has invited us to engage them on the sidelines. What kind of engagement is that? If whatever we are doing, we think that we are doing in the interest, in our common interest. Why don't we call a stakeholders forum? We all sit there, go into this sober heads, reflect on the issues. Let's see where genuinely there are challenges, and let's see where we can come in and support and make sure that at the end of the day, one group of students don't go through a double track system, have less contact hours. Another group goes through a single track system, have more contact hours. At the end of the day, they are all going to write the same exam. And we produce two groups of students. Some genuinely pass with probably not the best of grades, and others use other methods to get the best of grades, but they can defend the grades with their brains.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Raphael Kofi Gapson. He is the Secretary of the National Council of Parents Teachers Association, PTA. But we also sought the view of some of you. Just take a listen and then we'll come back.
Why has Ghana become like this? The officials who brought this calendar did not experience this when they were in school. They should make a proper calendar. No student goes on a 2-day vacation.
I don't
understand the new calendar. You have destroyed the education system in Ghana. The officials have to make changes.
The changes they brought are bad. If they are going to vacate less than a month in school, then what did they go and study?
The period of it, is very short because whatever it is, we have to prepare and buy some other provisions and whatever it is. Meanwhile, as they are promoted to that one, we are looking at all that. So that one is very good.
And you heard some Ghanaians expressing their views about the latest changes within the academic calendar from the Education Ministry. Let's bring you some health-related matters. And the National Health Insurance Scheme will now cover free dialysis treatment for patients who are 60 years and above and below 18. Persons between 18 and 60 years are to receive 2 free sessions every month. This announcement was made by the Minister of Health, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, during the commissioning of the Urology and Nephrology Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Listen.
If you have end-stage kidney disease, you have to pay for dialysis from your pocket. That has been our story. But today, under the leadership of President Adu, if you are 60 years and above, your dialysis sessions are paid for by government through the National Health Insurance Scheme. If you are 18 years and below, that is children, all your sessions are paid for by government through the National Health Insurance Scheme. This is what we call financial access. It means with your 8 Ghana cedi renewal of your health insurance for a year, you can have all the sessions that you need. Money is no more a barrier. For those 18 years to 60 years, after all your appeals, the President of the Republic has given NHIS the go-ahead to pay for 2 sessions out of the average 4 that you receive every week. I am confident that it is possible to pay for all dialysis sessions. And if you all support us to continue governance, I would convince Dr. Baumia to pay for the rest of the sessions.
You have the Health Minister, Dr. Bernard Okoboy. Let's speak to Kojo Bafwa Hinkwa. He's the President of the Renal Patients Association. He joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, too.
This must be good and relieving news for you.
Yes, but it has been there. I mean, we started June. June. The whole thing started June of this year.
But that was something that was to last for 6 months, right? But it seems the understanding is that this is going to be free permanently, unless I'm getting it wrong.
Yes. You know what? Like I said, it's a welcoming news. At least we are getting some relief. But like Bernard Okoboy just said, we are just praying that they could cover, because the 2 sessions they are giving to the 18 to 60 years, that is where the numbers are. We are the people who can go to work and can pay taxes. But the pensioners, the numbers are not there. When you come to the dialysis session, you see that between the 19 to 60 years are many. And we are being given only 2 sessions. So we'll plead with them that, like you said, they will consider if they can do more so that they can take more of the dialysis sessions for us. The 2 is good, but at least if they can do 4 for us, we'll be more happier.
4 for you. I mean, this announcement has been made. Do you know when it's to take effect so your members can take advantage of it?
Oh, we'll be enjoying it from June.
Yes, that is part of the 6 months arrangement I talked about earlier. So you think that it's just an automatic rollover, is going to continue and will not stop?
That is what we are hoping so, because initially they said it's for 6 months, and now they give a new announcement. So if it is going to continue, hallelujah, we thank God. I mean, it's something we expected for a very long time, because it's not that easy for us at all.
How would you expect the government through the health facilities to implement this? Because I know that even with this 6 month temporary one that was brought up earlier, you had challenges where members had to go and still pay, and eventually there was a communication that you'd be reimbursed and all of that. Having seen those challenges, how would you expect this quote-unquote automatic rollover of this, new service being given you to happen?
Thank you, but like you see, they know the challenges. I mean, like you said, what we say, they know the challenges. Since the government is now trying to say they should do the rollover, whatever predicament that we're having, but now I think they should be correcting it, because as of now, the refund to the old age people has not been given to them. The refund to the old, the 60 and above, prior to it, they say that there will be a reimbursement. It has not been given to them yet. But we are doing the 2 sessions, the rollover was good for us, because every month you have 2. So if this month you are able to get your 2, the next month they can roll it over for you, get 4. So they know this predicament already. So we expect them to correct all the things before even the rollover will be taking effect, because it's I think, maybe the administrative corrections or maybe administrative what we need to do. Know where it's going, who is coming, who is taking this. And I think we are good to go from there.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. And that was Kojo Bafwa Hinkwa. He's the president of the Renal Patients Association, speaking to us about the announcement coming from the health minister. You're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Manuel Fall is standing by with business. Don't go away. Do stay.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, Ghana Association of Banks advocates artificial intelligence and zero trust frameworks to tackle rising fraud cases. We'll bring you details of that. My name is Menu Afol. Please stay with us. Now into the details, the Ghana Association of Banks is pushing for the adoption of advanced technologies, including artificial intelligence and zero trust security frameworks, as part of a comprehensive strategy to tackle rising fraud cases in the financial sector. These recommendations follow latest Bank of Ghana fraud report, which reveals a 5% increase in fraud incidents between 2022 and 2023. The following news desk report has details.
In a bid to curb increasing fraud cases, the Ghana Association of Banks has recommended the adoption of artificial intelligence (AI) and zero trust security frameworks by financial institutions. The association believes AI can help detect suspicious activity before fraud occurs, while a zero trust framework requiring continuous verification of users and devices will bolster defenses against cyber threats and insider fraud. The recommendations come in response to the Bank of Ghana's latest fraud report, which shows a 5% rise in fraud cases in 2023, with total losses jumping 7% to 88 million cedis. The Association of Banks also highlights the need for stronger internal controls through staff vetting and lifestyle audits, as well as exploring blockchain technology to secure transactions and prevent document forgery. Customer education on cybersecurity is also stressed, particularly as online and mobile banking become more prevalent. These measures are part of a broader effort to fortify the banking system against increasingly sophisticated fraud schemes.
Well, that was a 3 Business News Desk report on Ghana Association of Banks advocating artificial intelligence and zero trust frameworks to tackle rising fraud cases. Away from that, Executive Secretary of Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amoah, has cautioned oil marketing companies across the country to intensify monitoring to avert pump malfunctions. He stresses such developments can lead to the collapse of the OMCs, citing the incidents at the Atimpoku Goil service station.
When your name is mentioned,
Sometimes it could be 1 out of 400 stations, 1 out of 50 stations. But the Ghanaian will think that, oh, yes, a company way, they say this company is doing this. So everywhere. Sometimes the head office is not even aware. So they will need to tighten their monitoring. They will need to ensure that they get reports from the stations every week so that you can be reading these reports. Where you feel you need to go and change the pumps, go and change them. Because if you don't, people will put you on social media and your brand comes under attack needlessly.
Now that was Executive Secretary of Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amwa. Before we go, in their quest to combat financing challenges associated with the changing climate, the Finance Ministry has launched a climate financing division. According to Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, the formation of this division will not only elevate Ghana's climate finance initiatives, but also enable the country access global financing.
As proof of how our economic management is intrinsically linked to ecological stewardship, these dry spells prompted major economic analysts to contemplate a downward review of our economic growth. I must say that these changes reflect Ghana's demand for reform. Financing conditions have been very tight over the last 2 years, and the future is uncertain. This division will elevate our climate finance initiatives, enabling us to attract international funding, partner with domestic and external private sector investors, and implement programs that promote green growth. The Climate Financing Division has been formed from the nucleus of the ESWAL Natural Resource, Environment and Climate Change Unit under the Economic Strategy and Research Division.
You heard the voice of Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam there. Well, that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition. For more stories, kindly log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Menu Afo. Stay tuned. We have more news for you coming up shortly.
Imagine a place where voices matter, where every corner, every street, every community is a platform.
A big bus moving through Accra, carrying conversations, questions, and the pulse of the nation. This is not just another show, it's your voice on the move.
Join us as 3FM Sunrise hits the road, turning ordinary streets into platforms for extraordinary dialogue. Speak freely, listen deeply, and help shape the conversation that drives Ghana forward.
Look out for the bus and tune in exclusively on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer from a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my way to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to extensive analysis, insights, and highlights.
So join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the most satisfying buffet in the world of sports. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in sports on Sports Ultras.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, the biggest one which has caused a lot of fire on social media is an announcement by Mikel Arteta on the fitness level of Thomas Partey. He has announced that the midfielder is now fit and ready to play for Arsenal in the Premier League. Thomas Partey, remember, missed out on Ghana's last 2 qualifying games with a medical issue. Let's listen to Mikel Arteta when he was giving the updates on his players.
So they are quite close, the 3 of them. Again, today we're gonna have to try and push and see who it is, because obviously we are very strong with the numbers, especially in our right side. But hopefully we have some positive news today, and we'll have some players back for tomorrow. Yeah, Thomas is fit, yes.
Thomas is fit, according to Mikel Arteta, the head coach of Arsenal. But staying in London, Chelsea have welcomed another player, their captain, Reece James, back into the team. He recovered during the international break, and the head coach of Chelsea, Enzo Maresca, stating that he's fit and ready to play a part for Chelsea.
No, finally we are all available, so we have all the squad available, unless the suspended one. He's available. Finally, he's back. He worked with us all the international break, and it's a good news, especially for him, because being injured is not a good feeling. So finally, he's back.
Finally, he is back. That is Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea coach, speaking on Reece James, his captain, and a defender who has been injured for quite a long time. But let's move on to Manchester United, who are under pressure. Ten Hag is under pressure as well, and he's expected to get victories after struggling right before the international break. He was asked why he believes that this team can make a turnaround and have some success, and this is what he had to say.
Also, we have to climb a mountain, but that is top football, and sometimes you have to face challenges, but and sometimes it goes up, sometimes goes down, but I'm sure we will make it a success, as we did the last 2 seasons. We'll make it a success, and I think we are in a direction. Underneath, I see the good things. I see good patterns, and I see also the good stats, what confirms that we are in a good direction. But of course, the ranking is not lying. We are where we are, and that's not good enough.
That is indeed not good enough. But let's move on to the blue side of Manchester, where Manchester City are also going to be in action in the Premier League this weekend. And Pep Guardiola has been saying this about the opponents, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
They got less points than we deserve. That's all I can see with this long international break that I had time to see a few games. They got less points than they deserve. So always have been tough with balls since Nuno Espirito Santo was the manager, and all the time it will not be an exception. Thank you.
National week. Yes, so that was Pep Guardiola speaking on Wolverhampton Wanderers, believing that they should have earned a lot more points than they currently have. But before I do go, we have a special story from the local scene, which is about 11 Wise, a team that won the Ghana Premier League in 1960, but have been struggling in recent years. Just at the end of last season, they made a return to the Division 1 League, and they are aiming to make it back to the Ghana Premier League.
Roller coaster doesn't even describe the turbulent times Secondary 11 Wise has gone through. From multiple relegations, ownership dispute and financial struggles, they have been through it all. Despite years of struggles, the club's faithful fans remain steadfast, treating 11 Wise as a religion, one they worship. 11 Wise's glory days was in 1960 when they lifted the Ghana Premier League, but that is now a distant memory. Their most popular days were perhaps in 1980 when, under the ownership of the late Akable Mienza, they became the first Ghanaian club to travel outside Ghana pre-season in Brazil. Albert Yanko was part of the players who flew to Brazil for the historic trip.
Test match for Accra. It's a so passing out from email I want to make sure first goal because first half on a draw. So I shall confirm 4-2. CB and the Premier can say even in there on the Ambo Brazil and on the question. The Kahosu, the fine.
Since then, things have gone pretty much up and down for 11 Wise. The last they were in the Ghana Premier League was 14 years ago. They have since struggled with series of relegations to their third tier of Ghana football in the second division. After a 7-year stint in the second division, 11 Wise now compete in Ghana's first division, reigniting hopes of a resurgence. Leading them now on the touchline is one of their own, Abdul Malik, who played and coached them in the past.
The love for the club. Like you are saying, I played and I coached as let me say, a wise somebody. And it is something that I want to see the club at the highest level. That has been my main target. To see it back to where it belongs to. That is it.
The Western Showboys continue their quest to reclaim the sport where they belong in Ghana football circles. There will be many rooting for the Akarakachi boys.
That was a special report there on Second D 11 Wise, bringing an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Lishan. Over to you, Beatrice.
But Bill, you can't go just yet because we know that the Arsenal coach has been speaking about Thomas Partey and how he is fit to, go into the next games and all of that. Just tell us more about it before you go.
So, people on social media are really not happy after seeing that announcement by Mikel Arteta on the situation of Thomas Partey, saying that he's fit to return. Basically, Thomas Partey missed out on Ghana's, last 2 international games in the AFCON 2025 qualifiers because of a medical issue, and fans are basically pointing out that they don't believe that he actually missed out because of that. And for reference, since he joined Arsenal in 2020, there's been 12 different instances where he's missed out on the Black Star squad for various reasons. But one of the key reasons has been long-term injuries that has been happening to him. So he's missed out on AFCON 2023, he's missed out on World Cup qualifiers, he's missed out on international friendlies as well. And so basically fans are not happy with him, and I'm sure there will be, a magnifying glass on him when he finally goes to Arsenal and then plays in the Premier League again. So we'll see what happens.
Are they unhappy because they think he's relegating the local matches to international ones?
Yeah, they are sort of thinking that he's not as committed to the national team as he's committed to the club. But again, the instances that he missed out, some of them have been because of injuries, so it's understandable. Some of them, he communicated earlier to the coach that, he would request that, he would be away because of some reasons, and those were basically friendlies. And so I think the main ones, the AFCON 2023, he was injured, and the recent one was a medical issue, and that, brought a whole, sort of fracas in the media space and among the fans. I think that is the part that the fans are highlighting, especially with Ghana edging closer to exiting, AFCON 2025 qualifiers. So it hasn't really been good, and they expected their captain to be by their side.
And again, obviously, perhaps not against the Arsenal coach, my coach, but because if you've joined us and we're paying you for it, we must see some work. Is that not what it is?
Yeah,
the reason perhaps he's asking him to come on.
Well, and Partey has basically been a key player for Arsenal this season. He's made about 9 appearances already. He's been a starter for most games, virtually all the games that Arsenal have played in, and so I think it's understandable that Arsenal will want him to play as many games as possible. But of course, the fans of Ghana would also want to see him in national team colours, especially knowing that Andre Ayew hasn't been around and Partey is literally the captain now. And so they would want to see, a lot more showing of face and then, performances from the man they deem as the best midfielder in Africa.
Well, thank you very much, Billy Shan.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much, Bilishan, for bringing us the latest in sport, and we'll be crossing over to Campaign Trail very shortly. But some more of your messages coming through on our first story. This is from Gideon Kofi. Why should the ruling of the speaker, okay, so I read this earlier, but since I started, let me just continue, always be overturned by the Supreme Court? There's foul star, nothing lasts forever. Also, Hashim Al-Hassan, 7 December, we shall decide, not the Supreme Court. And also, Amun Shadrach, we in the court of public opinion disagree with the Supreme Court. So those are some messages coming through from you. Thank you so much for sending them. Keep sending them, and as and when we are able to, we'll be able to read them back to you. And this is So Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to Campaign Trail. And on Campaign Trail tonight, we start from the camp of the opposition NDC, and the flag bearer of the party, John Mahama, has served notice to abrogate any contract by the government over transferring Saglemi housing project to a private developer without the prior approval of the landowners in Ningo. The government recently said it had shortlisted some private entities for the redevelopment and use of the abandoned project constructed by the Eswell Mahama administration. Speaking in Ningo Pram Pram, John Mahama promised to reverse any action by the government on the project that has no blessing of the landowners.
And you know, let me say something. It was NDC that started the Saglemi housing project. We consulted the people of Ningo Pram Pram before we started that project. After we left, this government has abandoned it. Recently, I hear they want to give it to private people. But the point I'm making to them is that if you are changing the status of that project from a government project to a private project, you need to discuss with the allodial owners of the land. And so I know they haven't done that discussion. You cannot alienate that land by handing that project to a private company without the permission and discussion and negotiation with the allodial owners, who are the Ningo people. And so when we come, we're going to review whatever you're doing there. That project belongs to the people of Ghana, and you cannot just hand it over to the private sector without going through the appropriate procedures.
And you had the former president, John Mahama. He's also the flag bearer of the opposition NDC. Komla Kliche is a man who is with the former president. He joins us live on the line. Komla, can you tell us really where the campaign team has been today? Hello, Komla. Yes, Komla, can you tell us where the campaign team has been today?
Well, it's been quite an interesting one today, because since last night, after the speaker made that ruling that gave the NDC the majority side, I know we've got some reaction from John Mahama. And then also today in Summer West, in also the Sarfoa constituency, John Mahama has been speaking about it and intimated that the MPP dug a pit for itself that it has fallen into. But he makes the point that This is all ordained by God, and that it's the will of God that this should happen. But just after the Supreme Court has made has given that directive to stay off the ruling of the Speaker and also allow the MPs or the 4 MPs to continue to hold themselves as MPs. John Mahama has not spoken on that yet. It's been a quotation of many of the media people following him to get a reaction from him. But as we speak to you now, he's not made any comment after what he said in the afternoon regarding it that the MPP doesn't speak for his own self. And it's been quite chaotic, if I say chaotic. Dozens of people have thronged the Lejokuku constituency. It took him close to about 4 hours to navigate the human and vehicular traffic that got him into the arena here in the Lejokuku constituency to address the crowd. And I must say that it's been a clamor for change by the people, and it's been a clamor that they should maintain the Member of Parliament, Benjamin Ayiku, who represents them. Thousands of them have been on the street saying that it's only John Mahama they believe in to be able to deliver the country from its economic mess. So no reaction whatsoever yet from the NDC flag bearer regarding the event at the Supreme Court.
And nonetheless, what can you tell us about the reception so far?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yes, I can imagine. I was asking about the reaction to the former president aside from the blockade in terms of traffic. Oh, unfortunately, we just lost Komla Kluche that he's following the former president on his tour. Now, managing editor of the Inside newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr., has warned that any attempt to rig the December 7 general election will be a recipe for disaster for the nation. Speaking at a forum organized by the Socialist Movement of Ghana in Accra, Mr. Pratt reiterated that the only condition for Ghana's peace is for the upcoming elections to be conducted in a fair manner.
There are grounded suspicions that some people in our society, if given the chance, want to play monkey tricks with the elections. We would like to assure such people that they are not going to get it easy. They will be resisted with all the force that the people of Ghana can command. Nobody will be allowed to rig the next elections. Nobody will be allowed to rig the elections. We want to make it clear, very, very clear, that the only condition for peace is free and fair elections. If you want peace, don't rig the elections. If you want peace, let the will of the people count. If you don't allow the will of the people to count, there will be no peace. And we should understand very clearly, please, we should understand very clearly. The 1992 Constitution, which is the basis of all the things that we are doing, which is the legal framework for all the things that we are doing, tells us very, very clearly that the sovereignty of this country, which is the sovereignty which resides in the people, must never be sacrificed.
And you have there the voice of the managing editor of the Inside newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr. And that's it for Campaign Trail on Hot Traditional True FM 92.7. But let's bring you some more here and the conditions of service implementation for over 145,000 nurses and midwives has been suspended indefinitely. The suspension follows a court injunction by an aggrieved section of the Nurses and Midwives Association who criticized the leadership of the GRNMA of not involving them in the signed agreement. President of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Perpetual Oforiampofo, who spoke at the second biennial conference of the midwives, described the injunction as unfair.
There should be somewhere around 200, 300 thereabouts. And that compared to the over 145,000 nurses and midwives, I think it's unfair and it's unjust for them to have done that to us because there are other avenues to address whatever issues. It just didn't need an injunction for it to affect us in the way that it is happening at the moment.
So now the conditions of service implementation have been suspended?
It's been suspended, yes.
Right.
You know, we went through a technical committee engagement with support from the World Health Organization, and the consultant on that project was actually from WHO. The work on the rural incentive package was duly developed, and it was in conjunction with all other health sector unions and employers, and it was for Ghana as a nation to implement it so that our colleagues in these hard-to-reach areas or deprived and underserved areas can benefit from it and be well motivated to continue staying in those areas and giving the care that is required to the good people of Ghana. The last time we heard about this, the former Minister of Health, Honorable Kwekwa Jimamenu, made us understand that it is an issue that is with the cabinet, and we were hoping that it would have moved from cabinet to parliament, and subsequently whatever the processes are, it would have gone through for its implementation. It's important. So we are hoping that that will be done. Even in the recent conditions of service negotiation, we made the employer aware that we partook in that technical work. Right. And so far as it is not implemented, we believe that a percentage of the monthly remuneration of the nurses in those areas can go a long way to motivate them and help them to do their best in those areas. But they insisted that so far as
and you had the Perpetual Oforiampofo. She's the president of the Ghana Nurses and Midwives Association. And before we go, we understand that there will be an all-white candlelight vigil in honor and memory of the two 12-year-olds who died in that East Legon accident, and that is expected to happen tonight. And that's it for Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you so much for joining us today. I did this with Alfred Ocansey. Log on to shrenews.com for more news. Have a good evening and do enjoy the rest of our programs.